Bonjour. We have a focus on French today, so I'll trot out a few French phrases. This is your host, Bonnie Squires. Welcome to Bonnie's Beat. We're coming to you from Radnor Studio 21 in beautiful downtown Wayne, and we always like to share information about interesting events in the community, charity events, political events, things that impact on your life, my life, and so on. And today, our guest is a Devon resident, Chloe Johnston, who is a bright young thing and very talented, who is the founder of CJ Shopping Tours. We'll talk more about what that is. But she's going to be doing a benefit for the Alliance Française de Philadelphie next Friday, October 11th. We'll talk more about that as well. And she's going to be displaying her collection of vintage designer clothes from Gay Paris. Chloe, welcome to Bonnie's Beat.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we have to explain what you're wearing.
Of course. So first we have a gorgeous vintage Chanel necklace that will actually be featured in the show.
Are you allowed to say what it's going to sell for?
I don't have that information with me right now,
Or
but I
is
can
going
get
to be
it.
like an auction or something?
Everything's for sale after the show. So
Okay.
if you see something in the show and you want to buy it, you're more than welcome to do so.
Okay. and we can barter with you, or we can haggle with you.
We can talk about that, of
Okay.
course.
Because you also frequent flea markets in Paris
I do.
when you're there.
I do.
Okay.
This is actually from one of the women that we work with in the flea markets. She has Chanel pieces dating back, I don't know how many years. So every time we go, we have to stop and visit her, of course.
Fantastic. Is it the Marché aux Puces? Is that where you go?
It's a
The
different
gigantic-
one. It's a different one, yes.
Okay.
There's two pretty big ones, but that is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
And then I also have a second necklace on, which is from one of the designers that we currently work with. So she's based right in Paris, and she actually hand makes all of her jewelry. So it's a cool
That's
piece
terrific looking.
because it just hangs around your neck, so you don't have to worry about clasping it. You just put it on, and you're good to go.
Well, you can wear it. I don't know if I could get away with it, but you could certainly wear it. Anyway, we need to tell our viewers that Chloe Johnston runs these shopping trips where she takes people to Paris and she takes them where they want to go. They could never get in on their own into an Yves Saint Laurent, or who are some of the other designers that you take them to?
Basically, the idea started when I would come back from Paris. I was lucky enough to visit when I was 12. My mom put together a trip, and we all fell in love with the city, of course. So we were lucky to go back maybe once a year, maybe every other year. And we started making relationships and meeting designers and started building those relationships. And I would come back from Paris, and women would always say, where did you get that piece? I've been to Paris. I've never seen things like that. So it kind of started in my head, maybe I could do something with this. So we take women to places that they wouldn't find on their own. So the local designers that you might not necessarily know here in the States, or really cool things and really cool items that you wouldn't necessarily find just your first time going to Paris, not necessarily speaking the language, not knowing where to go, not knowing how to navigate the streets. So that's where the idea kind of started and evolved from there.
And when did you start purchasing vintage designer clothes yourself?
I've always loved vintage pieces just because there's always a story that goes along with it.
You have an old soul.
Probably. So it's just, I love that when I buy something, I like to know what's behind it and the story that goes along with it and the craft that went into it. So I've always been interested in vintage, and then of course going to Paris and finding my first vintage piece was just amazing. And so then I thought, I really could sell some of these pieces here in the States as well. So I brought them over.
Did you have any experience in sales before that?
I didn't. I worked, PR is similar. Obviously, it's a little bit different in their end goal and what they're doing, but I've always had an interest in PR. In high school and college, I interned in PR positions throughout college, and then once I graduated. So I have that mindset and that background, but I never really had a straightforward sales position.
Well, let's talk about your background. You went to the Agnes Irwin School.
I did.
Were you an outstanding student?
Sure.
I wouldn't expect you to say no, but French was not on your horizon.
No. I actually took Spanish in high school and in college, and when I moved to New York after I graduated, I took Spanish again. So it wasn't until I started putting the idea for the company together that I started taking French.
At the Alliance Française, which is why you're doing the benefit
Yes.
for the Alliance Française, which is terrific. Now, let's talk about your educational background, because how did you end up at the University of Virginia?
Good question. I actually have played soccer my entire life. So originally I was going to go to a school to play soccer, and at the last minute I just said, I don't want to do this anymore. So decided to go a completely different route and chose to go to UVA, where I majored in sociology. Wasn't really sure the direction I wanted to go. I always knew I wanted to start a company.
A lot of soccer players major in sociology. That's common.
And it just appealed to me at the time. You know, I didn't know what kind of company I wanted to start, what direction I wanted to go. So I just kind of picked a broader major. And then once I moved to New York, I've always been interested in fashion and I've always loved to travel. But when I moved to New York, that kind of honed in on those particular skills. And then, of course,
and the reason you moved to New York was because
of a PR position. So
but you went to school in New York
I
for
actually,
a graduate degree.
I did. I started off working in PR and then said, I really think I need to focus on fashion and travel, and I want to start my own company. So I said, I want to get my MBA. So then I went back to school and got my MBA in New York at LIM
And
College.
explain what LIM is, because I had not heard of it until I met you.
It's a very small school that focuses the MBA program.
What does it stand for, LIM?
Laboratory Institute of Merchandising, which sounds like a science school, but it's actually a fashion school. And they have a program that focuses on the business side of fashion, which for me was something that really interested me, and I thought this would be perfect for me to start my career. So I decided to go and get my MBA from LIM.
Where did you live while you were in Manhattan?
I lived in New York. I lived the first apartment was at 16th and 1st in Stuytown. And then I moved 10 blocks up to a place called Waterside Plaza, which was right on the water. It was really fun, really pretty.
Well, New York is a very exciting place.
Yes.
You must have gone to Fashion Week when you were there.
I did. The company that I interned with repped some of the fashion designers that displayed their collections during Fashion Week. So I was able to attend when I worked there. And then I also had a second internship during my MBA program with a company that did PR for fashion designers. So I was able to do a little bit of Fashion Week there. And then once I started the company, I actually have gone to Paris Fashion Week, which is a little bit different.
How is Paris Fashion Week different?
It's very, I actually prefer it. I don't know why. I mean, I'm sure it's because of my love for
Do they rent
French.
facilities, or they do it right
They
in?
do it all over Paris. So, you know, a lot of the big name designers are in certain areas, but the smaller designers are, you know, all throughout Paris. It's very fun. It's very different. It's more so different in terms of the style. Everything's a lot more classic. The bigger names always are at Paris Fashion Week, for instance, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, things like that. New York Fashion Week is a little bit edgier, which they both appeal to very different mindsets, different fashion backgrounds. Both
Every
wonderful.
time I see the New York Times write-ups and the photos from New York Fashion Week, and I look at these gorgeous models, but they're like 6 feet tall and they weigh like 90 pounds.
Yes.
It's like, who could wear those
Nobody.
things? I mean, who's going to buy it? And you see all these grand dames lined up, you know, with the diamonds flashing, and they're placing orders, but I guess they make it custom made for their bodies.
They do, and the other thing is that a lot of fashion designers who don't have the opportunity to show their pieces during Fashion Week get inspiration. So they see what, for instance, Chanel or Dior, Louis Vuitton, you know, name the big powerhouse.
What's the trend?
Exactly. So they look at
What
the
are
trends,
the colors? What are the fabrics?
Exactly, and they use that for their next collection. Of course, they've already started and they already know a little bit. They're designers, so they have that information. But it helps to just get inspiration, really.
Now, you're not a fashion designer yourself, though.
I'm not.
But you know it when you see it, right?
I
Dare we ask who is your favorite designer?
Of course. My favorite designer is Yves Saint Laurent. Always been. I don't know how to explain why I'm always drawn to the collections, but I love them. I was a little skeptical when they changed the name and are trying to make it a little bit younger, but I still love the pieces.
What did they change the name to?
They took off the Eve, so it's just Saint Laurent. And
I didn't know that.
It's a
but
lot.
Of course, I know. I buy off. What do they call it? Off the rack. Okay, I buy for the regular people. I don't go where they have one person and they wait on you.
A lot of times, favorite designer doesn't mean that's where I shop. It just means I aspire. Because obviously that's, it's something to work for. And I think that if I was already able to afford all of those things, I mean, where's the fun?
Now, your mother, is she in business with you, or she's a silent partner? How does that work?
Both. So I took the idea to her in graduate school and, talked to her about it. And she said, this is really a great idea. And I said, I think I really want to pursue this. And I talked to a bunch of people in my graduate program, and they had said, you really need to go work for someone first. You can't just start a company. You need to have some sort of background. You need to have this,
Well,
this,
you
this.
could, but then you would lose a lot of money.
Exactly. So I went to my mom, and she said, I'll be your financial backer. I'll be your mentor. I'll help you throughout the process, but you need to do this now. You need to just jump in. You just need to start. And so I said, why not? She has her own companies. She's very successful. So I thought, why not listen to her?
But let's explain exactly what CJ Shopping Tours is.
So we started off with 4-hour shopping tours. So for instance, anyone traveling to Paris that wants to go shopping for 4 hours, we have package tours, which basically means the routes are already set up. There's vintage, there's flea market, there's boutique, a little bit of everything. And then we also have private tours. So we have customers that say, I want to go shopping for 3 hours. I want there to be lunch. I want to be chauffeured. Whatever it is, we can happily do that for them.
Do you ever let them have lunch at Galeries Lafayette?
It's not my favorite, but of course, it's all about the client. Whatever they want.
That stained glass rotunda.
It is beautiful.
Oh, it's breathtaking.
It is beautiful. Again, it's, whatever the client wants, it's customizable to their needs.
Oh, you can't find a bad restaurant in Paris.
Oh, gosh, no.
I mean, there are hundreds of restaurants in every block, it seems, and whichever one you walk into, you get a fabulous meal.
And that's exactly the way to travel, I think. It's just going out and exploring. I mean, that's what we did. And when I was putting everything together, I stumbled upon some of these shops. Some of the shops we already had relationships with, but a lot of them, it's just me going out and exploring and finding what appealed to me, and I think that's the best way to travel.
Does Agnes Irwin ever have you come back to talk to the girls?
They haven't yet. I actually have reached out to a few schools to come back and talk. My graduate school wants me to come back and speak to some of the students, which is really exciting. I haven't done anything with Agnes Irwin yet, I'm sure.
Well, after they see you on Bonnie's Beat, you'll
Of
be
course,
flooded with phone
then they're going to
calls.
start calling me right away.
So does your mother accompany you? How many times a year do you take people to Paris?
Okay, so starting off with the 4-hour shopping tours, then we actually expanded into the product side. So,
but you don't make the flight arrangements. The people are on their
I
own.
can. So
Oh, you can do that too?
From the product piece, I started doing trunk shows and talking to more women. And then from there, I just recently launched my extended tours. So that we have themed tours, for instance, 50 and Fabulous, Girlfriend Getaway, Mother-Daughter.
What does 50 and Fabulous mean?
So each of them have a different theme. We can do, like you mentioned, airfare, we can do hotel, we can do an apartment. And each of the different themes, 50 and Fabulous focuses on women 40, 60, whatever the age is. But my mom had this idea, once you hit around 50, you realize it's time to focus on me. I focus on the kids, I focus on work, I focus on, everything else, and it's time to focus back on me. So we put together a really neat trip, wine tasting, cooking classes, spa treatments, shopping, whatever they want to do, that's included in the 50 and Fabulous. She said we is for girls to get their wedding dress. So we actually did a bunch of research, found some really cool wedding boutiques, and the day that we launched the She Said We tour, I got engaged, which was completely unplanned. So that was really fun.
You got engaged?
Yes, the same day. So that was really
Are
interesting.
you engaged now, or are you
I
married?
am. We're not getting married till next October, so we have plenty
Okay.
of time.
When did you get engaged?
February 13th. So that was the day we launched the She Said We tour.
Right before Valentine's
Yes.
Day. What nice planning.
Yes.
On your fiance's. But what's his name?
William.
And what does he do?
He actually works in sales right now. He's also going to start his own company as well. So
But does he sell clothing?
no, completely. He's in the insurance-ish business.
Does he know anything about fashion?
Now he does.
Do you dress him?
I do. He's a lot better now. He's good, but he knows a
My
lot.
husband, I keep saying, you've worn that sweater 3 days in a row. It's going to stand up by itself. But there's certain things he likes.
Yes.
And he's
A lot of
comfortable.
guys have their pieces, and that's what they like, and that's
Yeah.
what they want to wear. And when we first met, that's how he was, and I kind of slowly said, let's go in a different
You
direction.
weaned him away, from the slept-in look.
Yes. We're off that now.
Are you going to get married in Paris? Or are you going to get married here?
We're actually going to get married here. I did get my wedding dress in Paris. So.
Already? Mm-hmm. Oh, this girl plans ahead. Oh, my goodness. Dare we ask how much you paid for a wedding dress in Paris?
I actually
Did the banker come along?
A lot of the dresses here that I wasn't really looking. I was actually doing research for the She Said We tour, and happened to find this beautiful dress. But if you compare it to the dresses here that are very different and unique, it's the same pricing, and actually some of the dresses here are more expensive. So it just depends, what you're looking for.
Okay. I assume it's full length.
It is.
Does it have beads and things and
It
pearls?
doesn't. It doesn't.
No?
It's actually very different and nothing that I've ever seen, which is exactly what I wanted, and very hard to explain. So I would happily show you a picture.
Okay. Oh, this is one of the vintage pieces that's going to be modeled by, I don't know whether they're members of the Alliance Française or modeling.
They are members as well as teachers, so I think that's really exciting.
Oh, okay, that's terrific. Friday, October 11th, let's give all the information. Friday, October 11th, at there's a new art institute called Third Ward. It's at 4th and, it's at 1227 North 4th Street. It's at 4th Street near Girard in Northern Liberties. And it's supposed to be a hot, trendy new place.
It's really cool space.
Yeah,
I really
they
like
have
it.
art classes, they have fashion classes, but they also rent out space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Chloe decided to have this benefit, this fashion show. How many pieces are you going? This is gorgeous. Who's the designer?
This is Chanel. So this is a vintage Chanel bomber jacket, and then there's a beautiful vintage Chanel necklace.
Oh, I love the necklace because the necklace is a bottle of Chanel No. 5.
Yes, it is.
I mean, that's terrific. That is just wonderful. But
So one of the girls will
is it silk? It feels like silk.
It is. That's actually one of my favorite pieces. One of the wonderful teachers will be wearing that.
Oh, it's
down our
adorable.
runway.
Oh, so it has the Chanel logo as
Yes.
part of the pattern, and
And it
then
says
a
Chanel.
chapeau, and it says Chanel. That's great. That's just terrific.
And then we also, there's an exposition in Paris called Who's Next? And basically a bunch of up-and-coming
Next?
designers from around Europe come to Paris for Who's Next and display their items. So we were there last January, right before Fashion Week. And we were going through and looking at some of the designers, and some of these things are just beautiful, things that you would never, ever see here in the States. So one of the designers was from Romania. So we ended
Oh,
up...
Romania. Oh, that's often been called the second fashion capital, right? Romania.
Exactly. So we were able to get some pieces from their collection that will be in the fashion show as well. So here's one of their jackets, and then there is a white one as well over here that's just absolutely beautiful.
Oh, this feels like my cat.
Isn't it wonderful?
That's beautiful. But this one is so interesting because it combines so many different elements.
Mm-hmm. This
I don't know about fabrics. What would you call this?
This, it feels like a lamb. I would have to double check, but I'm not, again, I could be wrong on that. The theme for their collection was silkscreen. So you can see really neat patterns.
It's
a lot of
interesting.
them have.
It almost looks like a Japanese print.
And then the back you can see as well.
That's terrific looking. Now, do you decide which model has the body to wear which piece?
Yes. We actually had a fitting.
I want people to know that Chloe didn't ask me to model, but
We
I
would
like
love
her
for you
anyway.
to.
I like her anyway. I did model once for a political fundraiser for a candidate I was supporting.
Oh, great.
But it was, I think it was anybody who supported the candidate got to model in the show.
That's so fun.
It was a lot of fun. I loved
it's
it.
a lot of fun. We actually had a fitting, I think that was yesterday. So basically the models tell me, they're actually French teachers. So the models just sent me their size and how tall they were, and I kind of put together an idea of what I thought would look good. And then when she arrived, I was able to outfit her, and everything looked great, so I was excited.
How many models are you having?
We're going to have 4, possibly 5. We're looking to have about 20 looks, so 20 different outfits that come down, and then we'll also have other pieces as well that are not on the models for sale.
And you'll be the commentator, right?
I will be, yes.
Okay. And the tickets are very reasonable.
They are.
If you're a member of the Alliance,
They're $15.
$15.
And if you're not, they're 20. And we're going to bring in food, we're going to have drinks, so I think it's very reasonable. The space is awesome. Actually, I think it was, I remember if it was Philadelphia Magazine or Philadelphia Style had their launch party there, and the people at Third Ward said it was awesome, so.
Terrific.
Looking forward to it.
Now, the fashion show, all the money that comes in from ticket sales, you're donating to the Alliance Francaise, which is lovely. So we want to get hundreds of people there, right?
Exactly. And actually, members of the Alliance Francaise also get a discount when they shop. So that's another perk as well.
I'm a member.
Well, there you go. You get a discount.
And you've got a beautiful ring on.
Yes.
And that, you hold it up for the camera. That's like the biggest diamond I've ever seen.
It's not actually a diamond.
But it's stunneroo.
Isn't it? I was
And
actually...
That's from Paris?
It is. It's another one of my interesting stories. I was meeting with a few designers, and I love to walk through the streets of Paris. Just inspiring, I feel.
It's a treat. Every alleyway,
it's just
stunning. Even a bar, they've all got flowers and sculpture, and everything is interesting.
It's just, there's so much history, and there's stories everywhere. And I was walking, and I saw this tiny little window, and I thought, oh, that looks interesting. And I walked in, and I have never seen such beautiful jewelry. And the guy was explaining that his mother I don't remember the technique, but she had some special technique that she used to make jewelry, and she taught him. So now he brought it over, and has this tiny little shop and sells this jewelry.
And your engagement ring is not too shabby either. That is gorgeous. It's a beautiful sapphire and a lot of diamonds all around it.
The sapphire is his birthstone, and diamonds are my birthstone. So he knew that I wanted something. We actually hadn't talked about anything at all, but he knew that I would want something unique and different, and he did a great job.
He commissioned someone to create that, I'm
There's
sure.
actually a designer in New York that creates jewelry and then sells it and then goes on to the next thing. So I think that they found...
So it's one of a kind.
Yes, they found it.
And I noticed your nails are polished to match the ring because she's got little sapphire blue stripes on her nails.
I love doing crazy things on my nails.
Well, that's not crazy, but I've never seen that kind of a design before, but it looks terrific, and it goes very well with your engagement ring. Now let's talk about these pocketbooks. This one especially.
Of course.
I love this one. Talk about the history of this. This is vintage.
This one's vintage, this one's not. This, one of the women that we work with over in Paris has really awesome vintage pieces. And we went in the store one day, and she said, I have something that I need to show you. So she opens the the bag, and there's a number inside that says 265 of 500. I don't know if you can see that, but she basically explains...
Limited edition.
Yes, that Elton John had a private concert, and he had 500 of these made for the guests, and she was able to
He gave 500 custom-made pocketbooks. Oh, it's nice to be rich. It's nice to be rich. Oh my, this is fabulous. I just
It's
love
just an
it.
awesome. It's an awesome piece.
Were they all the same color and design?
She only has this one, so honestly,
Oh,
I'm
well,
not
we
sure.
don't know. Well, next time I'm with Elton, I'll ask him.
Okay, and you report back.
And the new pocketbook, which is terrific.
This is one of the other designers that we work with, Catherine. She
Also a Frenchie.
Yes, she's wonderful. Her story is just amazing. She makes handbags, and all of her handbags actually, she makes them fashionable yet functional for working women, women that live in the city, people on the go, basically. So all of her straps are adjustable. So you can wear it like this. You can pull it through so it's longer on one side. You can make it even shorter than this. She has a bunch of pockets inside for your purse or for your wallet, for your phone, whatever it may be. And then she has a hidden pocket in the bottom that actually is great for traveling and putting your passport in. So, for instance, you can see here in the bottom there's a little zipper, and you can unzip it.
That's very clever.
And then
that
your
I've never
passport
seen before.
Just fits right in.
That is wonderful.
And then, you don't have to worry about it.
And you can never let your passport be off your person, whatever foreign country you're in.
Exactly.
Because there's a big business in stolen passports.
I know, there is. So definitely
that's
something
terrific.
Yeah, and red is obviously stunning color.
You
so
should get an
come on.
award from the French government for publicizing, French businesses. You really
I
should.
know. I think I should too.
Well, we'll have to talk to Michael Scullin, who was on the board of the Alliance Française, and he happens to be the honorary French consul general in Philadelphia.
There you go.
So, we'll introduce. As a matter of fact, he's in France as we speak.
Okay.
Because he's giving a lecture in Lyon on how to do business from France to America.
Well, there you go.
But you could also give a lecture on how
I
to
know.
do business in France. Now let's give people again the Alliance Française. Let's put up all the information on the screen. www.afphila.com/events, and the phone number is 215-735-5283. And the tickets are very reasonable, and it sounds like a really fun event, and it's a benefit for the nonprofit Alliance Française, which is, I don't know, like 110 years old. Yes, it's exactly 110 year's old. This year's the 110th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
So the old and the young are getting together
And
for
celebrating.
This. And Chloe Johnston's information. Chloe's, give us your website for your CJ.
It's chloejohnston.com, and the tours and the products are all situated right on there. So you can just click tours, you can click shop, and find all of our information.
Okay. Now, what's the most exciting thing that's happened to you since you became an entrepreneur on your own?
Starting the company and having my own website. I think that's...
Do you have sleepless nights where you worry about meeting payroll and...
Lots of sleepless nights about lots of different things, but...
And shipping this stuff from France, that's not an easy matter.
No.
They don't just put it in an envelope and mail
No.
it. No, that's...
Lots of taxes, you have customs, you have all of that good stuff. So it can be daunting, but I can't complain.
Do you have a 5-year plan?
I do. I actually would love to expand into other cities and do a similar model in other cities in Europe. So as soon as I have Paris nailed down, I'm going to be on to my next city.
What do you think your next city will be?
That's a good question.
How about Cannes? How about Nice?
South of France is definitely an easy add-on. And then I was actually thinking somewhere in Italy, somewhere in Spain, and then we were playing with the idea of
Venice, Venezia. Oh, what a magical city.
Exactly. There's just so many different options. And we actually work with someone from Senegal. So we were looking at some, because there's a lot of up-and-coming designers from Africa. Their designs and prints are absolutely stunning. So we have a lot floating around.
Well, as soon as you get fluent in French, what language they speak in Senegal?
French, English. They have a billion different African.
Oh, okay. Well, you can use the French anywhere. I can tell you that. I've used my French in the weirdest places. I've used it in Portugal.
Oh, there you go.
Where people didn't speak a word of English, and I switched to French, and all the doors opened.
It's funny how that works in Europe. There's just so many people speak so many different languages, which Unfortunately, it's not the same here in the States, but it's wonderful.
That's right. Well, but how many years Spanish did you take?
I started in 6th grade and finished when I moved to New York. So that was in 2009 or 10, I think.
So many years you were studying Spanish.
Yes.
You must be fluent in Spanish.
I've switched to French now, so I haven't
but
used my Spanish in so long.
Don't lose the Spanish. Well, we're going to see Chloe Johnston at 3rd Ward with her vintage clothing for the benefit of the Alliance Française, and we'll see everybody next week.
Thank you so much.